I am the contrarian, and this is my world.
Hi, my name is Abhinav and I've been working with startups for the past 15 years.
Hi, my name is Vijay Shekhar Sharma. I'm founder CEO of Paytm, and today we are going to talk about some startups that are happening in this country. Are they for real or not?
I think they are definitely for real. And let's change that perception of Rajiv.
Startups, the very two words, put them together and you start thinking that there's some other words that go with it, usually 100, 200 to $500 million. That's the thought process in India. I gave a talk at an educational institute just a few days back and 90% of the hands went up when I said, who from here wants to have their own startup? That's the situation in India right now. Everybody wants to be a startup. Even if you're working, have a great job, what is your aspiration? I'm going to start up with a startup. Money doesn't seem to be an object. They think it will just flow in. But is that the reality? What kind of startups are coming? Is there innovation out there? Is there a world of good that's happening? All of it answered with the two gentlemen in front of me. Let me find out from you first. A startup in India today, maybe from 5 or 10 years back, a completely different beast. So in your mind, what's a startup? Who would you fund? And what do you really look at if you were to actually see an Indian startup? What are they here for?
Well, I think the startup is a guy who's trying to solve a problem which hasn't been solved the way they want to solve it.
Okay, now I'm sorry, I'm usually supposed to give my guest 30 seconds. I'm going to object on this one right away. So, my lord, objection. So, he's trying to solve a problem
which hasn't been solved the same
his
way.
way.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's not a problem that hasn't been solved. It's a problem
Problems have been solved. Problem will be solved better way. If you could go from one place to other on a bullock cart, you would go in a car, and you will go in a fast car, you'll go in a sports car, you'll go in a train, you'll go in a plane.
Okay. So
Single problem.
His way.
His way.
Okay. And the intention for that, the reason that he wants to do a startup, what's the objective?
The objective, I think, depends on the entrepreneur you're talking to. There are some entrepreneurs who truly believe they want to create a ding in the universe and change the world, change the way Indians been living. People have been trying to solve some problems or do some things. And there are some who wants to come in for the sexiness and sauciness and the money that it brings.
Your point of view out here. What are you seeing? You actually right now seem to be meeting more startups than maybe everybody else put together, and you meet what, 250 startups a day?
Not really.
From the stories I hear, that's what I keep
Not
hearing.
more than 4 or 5 startups in a day. You can't actually absorb more than
Really,
that.
4 or 5 in a day?
4 or 5 in a day on a good day.
That's
on a good day, yes.
Seriously high number.
So I am a part of some angel groups. I am a part of certain committees which
You
actually...
do know that the word is not used as angel anymore. You know, there's a big difference in the angel investors. You guys are called the devils of the funding world. You're no longer an angel in any which way.
Not
you
really.
really get your pound of flesh
Not really.
out
The
now.
amount of time, the effort which goes into actually mentoring a company.
That's the angel part.
That's the angel
The pound
part.
of flesh is like a devil.
So finally, we are in it for making,
Money.
bucks. Yeah, we are.
Money.
And but that's not the only objective. The objective is to try to see to it that deserving entrepreneurs actually, reach their goals.
Is there a difference between what you see as startups that have been struggling in the US for years and startups that have been struggling here versus brand new startups that you're hearing about every day here versus abroad? Is there a difference, or it's all the same?
I would say that in India, at least people have a lot more conservative thought process of a startup. US gets a lot more creative. So after every inch of business model change, there is a startup. In India, at least, it is understood that that gap is not enough. So people don't build into the same space. At least in India, I would say that. But that said, I think because of the number of people who have gone into it is way too many. So you're seeing many replications or not very far away differentiation from each other.
Let me tell you where I see the problem.
Sure.
So, like I told you about the talk I gave at an educational institution.
Sure.
Now, a lot of them may be getting job offers which they may say no to because they're reading 20 headlines in the newspapers every day. Every one of them doesn't have, no headline now makes it if somebody gets $100 million.
Absolutely.
I think it's 300, 400, only then you get a headline, right?
Okay.
So, first and foremost, that's the biggest problem. You're seeing an extreme amount of cloud where you just think you'll just walk right in, the clouds will part for you and you'll actually walk through, right? So you may not take a great job, okay?
Sure.
The second, is it actually has history not taught us that a great idea will lead to greatness, not a thought process that I'll have first make a startup, now I'll think of an idea.
So if you look at how, how startups have evolved, it is never the great idea. It is a great team which has finally delivered something in a manner which actually the market accepts, and therefore they are able to scale it, and there is value which is created.
So it's always a team, not the greatness
So
of the
the
idea.
team is the bigger thing than the idea actually.
So let's talk about this. Is a very interesting dilemma whether the team matters, idea matters, business segment matters, the industry matters. It's more and more back to back all the time proven that startup is like a bus and the team is like a driver, conductor, and the guide navigator. Because
but if the bus is rickety, which means the idea is poor, then the bus can break down.
Bus can break down and they can get into other one because they had money.
Actually.
They had saved money, or they were capable enough when the road was blocked, they were going Shimla and they could have taken detour to reach somewhere else.
People pivot all
and
the
they
time.
find out. So this keyword called pivot is nothing but changing route on the bus. So in fact, it is a very interesting anecdotal statement that a lot of investors you must have heard saying that we don't invest in a business model, we invest in a team. The team matters to us more than the business model, because
But I have a feeling that this has become one of those legend, those taglines
I will buy
which
into
may
it.
not be true actually.
I'll
I
buy
think it's
into
a great way for people to say no.
Absolutely, and I think one point which you made was that they are leaving great jobs. They are leaving great jobs for greater dreams, and it is so important. We keep on saying that India has been reduced to just being a manpower supplier to this big IT revolution which is happening globally. Now when India is, and the Indian youth are taking it onto themselves to actually start to create value, why should we stop them at all? I think this is great. I think the greatest power that exists on earth is ignorance. Ignorance that you could fail. If you don't know how to fail, then the only thing you will do is keep at it, and finally you will succeed. And that is what we are seeing happen in those educational institutions, and I think that's great for this country.
As an inspirational speech, I think I'll give you full marks, but
Sure.
as an actual red flag for a lot of people, I think I'll give you a 0 on that one, because at the end of the day, what you're really doing is you're fueling the very problem that I'm seeing every day, where a lot of people that may not have the acumen, may not have the talent, may not have the staying power, are taking the wrong decision in their lives, because it's the same thing, like I said, it's the gold rush everybody wants. So it's a rainbow that they're all
Had
following.
Mukesh Ambani heard you, he would not have created Reliance. He was not capable. He was not having a Harvard degree.
I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying maybe the hype and the buzz, the noise is too loud right now, and somebody needs to just show everybody a mirror.
one of the interesting thing in the world is that technology business have always been built around no revenue in the early days. So the true mirror of whether you are doing something correct or not is not really out there, and that kind of, I would say, support system over the period will evolve once we get through this. It will be a costly learning, it will be a little bit burning and so on. It happened way back in 98, 99, I remember when the internet was happening. Everybody, even if it was a banker, it was a property dealer, everybody wanted to start a .com.
Yes.
And today there is a nearly that kind of rush. And I want to say this here today, it's unprecedented. It is many times more than that day.
Let me just understand this. So you're basically saying more people are doing this today than one of the greatest bubbles that had actually happened about 10, 12 years back. Is there a category or categories that will go down first if the money dries up? For instance, the numbers that you've just given me, right? One quick example, okay? So if you cannot offer an iPhone with Paytm 8,000 cash off because you don't have that kind of money coming from behind, will you have loyalty? Will there be sincerity? Will you have built a value business from all these people that you're talking about?
Very interesting. If there is a market where there is discount being given, customer will go there. There is no doubt about it. If everything was equal, then customer will go where the better service exists and better experience.
So the better service at the present moment by all ratings is never supposed to be online.
As of today, yet. But it doesn't mean that that will
But
not
you cannot create it in the beginning. Okay. Which category do you think? If the money dries up, is e-commerce going to be hit first?
So I don't think I will go with categories. What I will think is that the top 2 or 3 people in each of these categories will survive, because there will be enough loyalty or at least enough convenience that the consumer has seen in that. I don't think there is any category being invested into currently which does not inherently add value to the consumer.
Okay, all right. So my last final question is, if you were to actually fund a startup today, other than team, Is there anything else you look for? Because I keep hearing idea and team, idea and team. Is there a third that they should now suddenly realize?
Yeah, I personally would go for where there are real consumer transactions. Consumers are really transacting, and transaction, unlike visitor or registered user, I would go where there is a real money
Person
transaction.
actually, even if it doesn't matter what value, it's
doesn't
a
matter value.
the transaction.
Transacting customer base is what I
So market opportunity and problem. That's what I would basically look at. So
Are they solving a problem?
yeah, absolutely.
You know, I really do want to, I'm completely out of time. The one topic I really want to talk about is that where's the world of good being done out here? The amount of money that is coming in, is it corrupting the whole business from the very beginning? So maybe I'll ask the two of you to come back on another show, because so much of that has got left out, especially the part which I feel the worst about, and that is the world of good that you spoke about, you know. Startup for good, money being invested for good. There are so many world problems that just have remained. I mean, after so much of money coming in, which is that one little problem that we've solved, I think I'm going to ask you to come back on a social contrarian, not social as in socializing, but for the good of others. So that then is the story of the startups. I think we've just done the tip of the iceberg. What I will do is maybe we'll come back and do a series on this. The rest of the iceberg will then be revealed. See you next week on The Contrarian.